Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 27. I'm Daniele and I'm honored to host today's show together with our Italian football and betting expert, Daniele Fisichella. Stay tuned to learn what tips and predictions he has prepared for you, and I'm sure you'll be able to find much value in them. Please like the video, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to help us grow so we can keep delivering great content. Leave your comments below and let us know what are your predictions for Serie A Matchday 27. And now it's showtime. Ciao, Dani. How are you today?
Ciao, Daniel. I'm really well. And what a championship we have in Italy. In the last weekend, none of the top 7 teams won. So it was a weekend for the smaller teams. And now Milan are 2 points ahead of Inter. Inter lost the weekend. Napoli couldn't capitalize. Juventus drew at Atalanta, so the struggle for the 4th place, it's more alive than ever. This is going to be another really important weekend for the title, for the 4th place, and for the relegation battle as well.
Definitely, yes. Serie A seems to be very interesting towards the end of the season. Well, we could say we're now mid-season, but still very interesting indeed. On Friday night, we have unusually early kickoff, which is AC Milan and Udinese. Milan will be aiming to get back on winning ways since they dropped 2 important points against Salernitana in the last round. Meanwhile, Udinese is 3 points clear of the relegation zone with 2 games in hand, and also managed to muster an important point from the last fixture with Lazio.
Milan must win this one after they slipped the Salernitana, top v bottom, and that was the first time since 2016 that the bottom team, in this case Salernitana, avoided the defeat. And I must say, at the end, Salernitana is probably the team with most regrets for the game, because they took the lead and they could have hung on to it. In the end, I think Milan underestimated Salernitana. Let's not forget that this is a team that has changed over 10 players in January with the new transfer windows. They look more like a team. Milan looked a little bit flat, if you like, and they couldn't really capitalize on a big advantage for them. But this season at home, Milan are good. We have to remember where they are, where they come from, the improvements that they had in the team spirit. It is a team that creates much more chances also now that Rebic is back, Giroud is playing more frequently. Maybe they will have 𝐜𝐵RAHIMOVIC back. So, a bad weekend, but nothing is lost for them. At home, average 2 points per game. They won 3 of the last 5 at home. They kept 3 clean sheets in the last 5. They must win this game, because the next fixture, it's first you got the derby in Coppa Italia, and then they trip to Napoli. That's another key fixture. That's the last of the big fixtures. So Milan needs to win this one to go to Napoli, still top of the league. Udinese, they got 2 games in hand, as you said. They are starting to worry a little bit about the other teams coming strongly, especially Cagliari away. Udinese, not great. Goal difference -7. No goals in the last 3 games away for Udinese. 2 defeats, 1 draw. But against Lazio, good first half. I think Udinese is a team that has got quality. Sometimes they don't have the courage to show that quality. But this year, I think the Scudetto quota, the Champions League quota, is going to be lower than last year. If you look at Inter, they're now 6 or 8 points less than last year, because obviously they got a game in hand. Small teams, and within the small teams, I also put Udinese, they seem to have less inferiority complexes. They seem to come out and play more this season than in previous seasons. Teams like Udinese, like Torino, like the same Verona. So I wouldn't think that it's going to be easy for Milan if Udinese shows courage on this one. Last year they did 1-1 at San Siro. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, perhaps with Milan keeping a clean sheet, though under 2.5 goals. That pays 2.11.
Next game, Genoa Inter. Again, it's hard to find value in the away win for Inter, and especially because They dropped points. They lost surprisingly against Sassuolo in the last match day, while Genoa are in the second worst team in Serie A right now. Meanwhile, Inter is trying to overtake their hometown rivals from the first place. It's going to be very interesting what Simone Inzaghi is going to do in this.
But Inter needs a reaction. They come from a very, very bad period, and I was expecting a slip up against Sassuolo. I said in the previous video we did. In fact, we got that right. Sassuolo is a very dangerous team, especially after he played midweek against Liverpool. Inter look tired, they look fatigued, they lack sharpness, there are some individual mistakes. Only 5 points in the last 5 games, winless in 3 games, and that only happened in January 2020 under Antonio Conte. Against Sassuolo, lots of errors. They started the game slowly, then the chances couldn't convert them. Lautaro missed an incredible goal with a couple of centimeters away from the goal line. 26 shots on target against Sassuolo. It's true that the keeper of Sassuolo, Consigli, made 8 saves, but this is an Inter that suffered also when Sassuolo attacked them on the break. They looked like they could score at any minute. And talking about Lautaro, he's going through a rough patch, probably the worst period Inter ever had, not scoring since 2 months. 𝐿𝐭𝐿 and Lautaro at the moment, they don't work very well as partnership, and with Correa injured and with Sanchez not really impacting the game from the first minute when he starts, Simone Inzaghi has some issue. So basically now Inter has dilapidated all the advantage they had, and a new league starts this weekend. It's obviously have to start from scratch, and this is a new championship, a new league with 3 teams that could win. Good news for Inter is that Bastoni and Brozovic return for this one from suspension. Brozovic massively important for the way Inter play, probably go since the one they signed from Atalanta in January. He's not going to be ready, might be ready for the derby in Coppa Italia. Again, another important reinforcements. Inter are still the top scorers in Serie A, 55 goals scored, second best defense away, but they only scored 1 in the last 2 away games, which, by the way, they were tough, Atalanta and Napoli. Let's not forget, Inter comes from a very, very tough run of fixtures, January, February, including the Champions League. Genoa, they haven't won so far at home. They're second from bottom at home. No wins at home so far this season. They are the worst attack at home with Salernitana, only 9 goals scored. And they are 6 points from salvation. So another draw, which is what the new manager, Blessing, is achieving so far, 4 consecutive draws, is completely useless for them. They need to win this one. They've drawn 6 of the last 8. They got the record for draws in Europe, 13. So, it is a team that, yes, sometimes when you cannot win, it's better not to lose. But in this case, they have to go for it. Good reaction from Genoa Venezia. It is a team that I think has been changed with the new acquisitions. Blessing is getting them to play higher at the pitch. They press higher. They're more intense. But, it's going to be tough for Genoa, of course, against an Inter that desperately needs the point. I could see a high-scoring game on this one. I could see Inter creating chances. I could see also perhaps Genoa scoring one, because Inter defense lately has not been perfect. So, again, I'm going to go for the goals market here. That's where I find the value. Over 2.5 could be a good one, but you could go for over 1.5 goals in the second half, 185. So you win if there are 2 goals or more in the second half.
Very interesting indeed. Once again, we avoid Asian handicap here because it's a bit tricky at the moment. On Saturday, we have Salernitana and Bologna. Salernitana have, let's say, improved with 3 consecutive draws, but they're still rock bottom with only 14 points to their name. Meanwhile, Bologna finally won a competitive game against Spezia for the first time in 5. What can you say about this game?
Bologna won the first game of the new year of 2022, and I think it's not a case that they won it as soon as Arnautovic starts scoring again. He scored 8 so far this season. He was the big signing of the summer, the big center forward that lets them play, hold on to the ball, has got a little bit of magic and helps the teammates getting into good position. Unfortunately, Arnautovic has been a little bit hit and miss. He had a few injuries as well, but when he's in form, the team is transformed. Let's not forget, Bologna is set up defensively defensively with a 5-3-2. So rely a lot on Arnautovic up front, and also the runs into the box of Orsolini, of Barro, of Soriano. I think some of the defeats they had recently were not totally deserved. They're playing better. They conceded early against Spezia, but then they were dominating. So a good win for Mihajlovic's men. Away, they need to do better. 7 away defeats so far this season. 24 goals conceded for Bologna when they travel in Serie A. That's average of 2 per game, and they lost 4 out of 5. But in December, they picked up a 3-0 win at Sassuolo. So don't underestimate Bologna if they are in form, but also don't underestimate Salernitana. Under a new manager, the third of the season now is Davide Nicola. He's a specialist in salvation. He's a specialist in miracle. He's the guy who saved Crotone a few years ago. It is the guy that saved Torino last year when they seemed desperate, as I said before, with the new players deciding, especially with Simone Verdi, with Musset up front, with Fazio and Dragusina at the back. They look more threatening. They got more intent going forward. And they still have Ribéry, of course, that every now and then can produce something, although it's been very disappointing so far this season. They are still the worst attack and the second worst defense at home. Conceded 7 in the last 3, but scored 5. Again, these are not great numbers, but consider it is Salernitana. It's a newly promoted team. I think they're going to score, Salernitana. I think Bologna are going to score as well. You could go for them both to score. I prefer to go for the over 2.5 goals, 190.
Okay, and what to say about Empoli Juventus? My God, Juventus dropping important games again, even though Vlahovic made records last night in the Champions League, scoring in the 32nd minute. Second of the game. Yeah. Yes, only seconds. But still, they only managed to draw. And in Serie A, they have only managed 2 draws in the last 2 games against Atalanta and Torino. They're currently 4th, but Atalanta has a game in hand and is breathing down their neck, while Empoli continues to drop points and most recently lost 2-0 to Sampdoria. So their winless spell is now 10 in a row. Wow.
Juventus, they are obviously improving, and the numbers in the league, they say that after the defeat in Verona at the end of October, they have the same point as Inter, or maybe 1 point more. So they've been steadily improving in terms of results. In terms of performances, I wouldn't say they have improved that much, but what the difference is that now with Vlahovic, they have a goal scorer, and you saw it against Villarreal. They have somebody who can convert even half a chance. And by the way, I don't think Vlahovic was outstanding against Villarreal, also because he didn't have many balls to touch. It's only 2 shots for Vlahovic. He touched the ball only 24 times in 90 minutes. He was basically left alone against the 3 defenders of Villarreal, with Morata trying to help him there. So it is a Juventus side that now, of course, looks more threatening, especially if they play with the 3 up front, although I think Dybala is still going to miss this one because of an injury. Going forward next year, when they will have also Chiesa back, I think it's going to be really threatening. The problem is that once they take the lead, there is a dip in intensity. They seem to retract. They seem to go a little bit more defensive. They can control games very well. It happened with Torino, and Torino go back into the game deservedly. It happened in the Coppa Italia against Sassuolo. Sassuolo scored, and then Vlahovic rescued them in the last minute. It happened even against Verona at home when Verona had good spells on the second half. So it is a Juventus that doesn't really convince me yet. It is still the 10th attack of Serie A, which is, a poor record, but also has to be said, they don't concede many. They don't concede many goals. They seem to be quite solid as well. The goal from Villarreal was a mistake of distraction from Rabiot and De Ligt as well, but Szczesny didn't have to make too many saves. Juventus are unbeaten in 7 away games, so you could trust them to go to Castellani, to the newly promoted side, and win, although they've already drawn 4 in this year. Juventus, some say they have regrets, they could have changed it for the title. I don't think so, because in the end, when the game comes thick and fast, the real problems with the Juventus midfields have shown. Now they'll have even one more problem, because McKennie fractured his foot, so he's going to be out for 2 months. And Empoli, I said it already before, you can go and even watch the previous videos, they start to have to be worried. I mean, they got 9 points more than Salvation, which is a healthy lead. However, Empoli have the second worst defense in Serie A. They conceded 55 goals. With these numbers, they will struggle to stay up, or they will have to fight until the very last minute. Because it is a team that obviously gets a lot of praise for the way they play, expansive football, they commit a lot of players forward, but it's also a very young team. Sometimes they lack a little bit of experience, especially in Serie A, and they can get unpicked very easily. They don't seem to close games down, and also, they always concede. The good news for Empoli is that at home, they scored the same, not at home, in general, they scored the same number of goals as Juve, 38. So good attack for Empoli, not very good attack for Juventus if you've got the same number of goals as a newly promoted team. Winless in 9 games. At home, Empoli are dreadful. Only 11 points collected so far. They are in the bottom 4th, and they got the worst home defense. They are so bad at home at leaking goals that they conceded 6 more goals than Salernitana. They conceded 34 goals already. These are shocking numbers. For this reason, I can't trust Empoli too much, to be fair, and I found a good value on the Asian handicap for Juventus, minus 0.25 in the first half, which pays 180, so it's good odds. So that means if it's a draw in the first half, you only lose half your stake. So if you bet 1 unit, you lose half a unit. But if Juventus wins the first half, you win 180.
Nice one. And speaking of teams you cannot really trust, we have Sassuolo and Fiorentina. The bookies really give no upper hand to any of the teams because, Sassuolo may be uplifted from their win against Inter, which was their first win since Matchday 21. But Fiorentina sold Vlahovic, and I think most of us expected them to drop in front of the goal, to have a bad spell. But in the contrary, they won 3 in a row, and it seems like they didn't miss him that much. In this game, the odds for 1x2, as I mentioned, are almost even. So maybe we can expect a draw, or maybe just look at the goals market.
Possibly. These are the 2 teams that when they are on the days, they produce the best football. They are 2 of the teams that are most enjoyable to watch, thanks to the managers. Dionisi, first experience in Serie A with Sassuolo, and Vincenzo Italiano, last year at Spezia, this year at Fiorentina. Teams that like to play, they got quick players, they can counter, they got technical players. Yeah, definitely a joy to watch. I'm not surprised that they're both high-scoring teams. Now, Fiorentina, Sassuolo, a little bit of a trivia for you. They beat this year already Juventus, Milan, and Inter, and the only team that did it in Serie A in the same season was Fiorentina back in the 50s, I think in 1956. So amazing achievement for Sassuolo that they really turn up against big teams. So far in the table, Sassuolo got 33 points. 15 of these 33 points have been achieved against the big teams, including Napoli, Roma, Lazio, etc. But when it comes to play against the medium teams or small teams at home, they've not been very good. Only won 1 of the last 8 at home. They got a negative goal difference at home, -4, but they always score. So that's why the idea to go for the goals market, it's good. Fiorentina, despite losing Vlahovic, they're still playing very well. I know many people were very worried they would have lost the focal point. But the system that Italiano put in place since day one, the way they're playing, the philosophy, it is paying off. Of course, they've lost something in Vlahovic, although Piontek now is scoring the goal. And I think in the long run, you will see that probably the goal tally will dry out. But the way they play could supply perhaps for the lack of a big goal scorers, perhaps in the short term. Can they chase the 4th spots, Fiorentina? Maybe not. They are 5 points behind Juventus with 1 game in hand. But going to Europe would be a good achievement. Also because already this season, they got 42 points. Last season, at the end of the season, they had 40 points. So they're already better off than last season. That tells you where the team was and how much he has improved. Since losing Vlahovic, they won 3, lost 1, scored 6 in 4 games away this season. They're not being great. Goal difference is -5, only 1 away clean sheet. They will be without Milankovic, the defender, suspended, so that's a big miss for them as well. But I'm gonna go for the goals market, and the bookies thinks they're gonna be a lot of goals, so I cannot trust them. But to find good odds, you need to go to the over 3 goals, which double your stake, pays 2, which means if the game finished 2-1 either way or 3-0 either way, you just get your money back. So to win your stake, you need 4 goals, but with 3 goals, you get your money back. Over 3 goals, 2.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too high the line here. So if you guys want to be a little bit more conservative, you can try 2.5 goals and combine with another thing, which Danny will suggest.
Both to score, like both to score and over 2.5 goals, a mini ACCA, or you could go for a double chance. I don't know, Sassuolo 1x and both to score maybe. You have to be creative here, because otherwise it's almost better not to bet on this one. But I think the goals market should provide.
Probably good to keep them for the ACCA later on.
Yes, of course.
On Sunday we have Torino Cagliari, and you know, Belotti returned from his long injury and reminded how important he is and what Torino is missing this season, because he equalized for Derby della Mole, while Cagliari was very close to upsetting Napoli in the previous fixture.
Yes.
But going the 87th minute denied them from their 5th win of the season.
Yes.
Yep. For the moment, they escaped the relegation zone, just about. So
these two teams are in form. Cagliari is more in form, I think. They started the year very, very well, very solid. They should have won against Napoli. They had a lot of chances to make it 2-0, and in the end they got punished. But they can come out of that game with a lot of confidence, considering how important the game was for Napoli in the fight for the Scudetto. 12 points for Cagliari in 7 games in the new year. In the previous 19 games, they only collected 10 points. So clearly Mazzarri has sorted the team out, and they have more attacking threat. João Pedro always there, really dangerous. The wing backs, D'Albert on the left, attacking more. And then the man of the moment is Gaston Pereiro, the Uruguayan, 4 goals and 2 assists in 2022. Only Caprari of Verona has done better. He's been involved in 7 goals in the new year. Torino, usually at home, are very strong. Is a team that starts home games very, very quickly. They press high. They man-mark almost across the pitch, and that's what they did with Juventus. They managed to get back into the game thanks to their intensity. In the home table, they're 7th, Torino, so better than the overall position, only because they lost the last game against Venezia, which I think they didn't deserve to lose. But a great performance again defensively in the derby against Juventus, especially from Bremer, who had Vlahovic on his pocket all the game. 5th home attack for Torino, 25 goals scored. Torino are very difficult to trust when they travel. They scored only 9, I think, but at home you could trust them to go on the score sheet. Also because Belotti is back, I think is important. They need to do it with the number 9. They've done a lot of games only with Sanabria and Brecalo. They need just the help of the captain and number 9. Again, I'm going to go for a cautious one because Cagliari lately haven't conceded many goals, but I'm going to go for the goals market. I must go there and must trust Torino to score. Maybe on the first half, more than one. So go for over 1 goal in the first half. That pays 189. So if the first half finishes 1-0 each way, you get your money back. If there is more than 1 goal in the first half, you win 189. If you finish 0-0, which I think is unlikely, you lose your stake.
It's a very sad situation with Belotti. He only played 11 games this season and only
been injured.
3 goals, despite his importance in the squad. Verona and Venezia is what we have next. The big surprise for me, Verona have really low odds here for home win. Maybe because they're in great form lately at home with 2 back-to-back wins. Here they are the favorite, like I said, to a Venezia team who is now in the relegation zone. But it's tricky because they have 22 points, same as Cagliari, and a game in hand. Maybe a good result here will help them jump again out of the danger zone.
I don't know about Venezia being able to cope with the attacking force of Verona. In the reverse fixture, it finished 4-3 to Verona. Venezia were 3-0 up and then they crumbled. Venezia is a team that has surprised us a lot because, they managed to win 3 games away, for example, only scoring 9 goals when they travel. So they've been very effective and a touch lucky, but they do have players that can run in behind, that are very physical, very athleticism. It's got a front three that could be quite exciting with 𝐿𝐭𝐿𝐿𝐿, Henry, then you got Aramu as well, 𝐜𝐨𝐴 coming from the bench. So I would never bet against Verona not to score, although this is a team that only won 1 game in the last 12. The concern I have is obviously with the back line. Venezia spends a lot of time defending in their own half, and Verona is a high-scoring game. They scored 2 at the Olimpico against Roma. They're very well drilled. Look at the way Barak scored the first goal against Roma with a training ground practice from a free kick. So they got also quite sophisticated tactics as well. 3 wins in the last 5 for Verona. Barak has already scored 10 goals this season. We mentioned before Caprari, already been involved in 7 goals since the beginning of the year. And Verona are the 4th best attack of Serie A. So this is a scoring team for sure. And when they play at home, they normally score a couple. Issue with the 2 teams is at the back, of course. Verona commits a lot of plays forward and sometimes gets caught on the back. Venezia spends a lot of time defending, and they're not always, top draw defending. 42 goals conceded for Verona so far. Venezia conceded 44, so it doesn't speak very well, especially for Verona was obviously stronger than Venezia on paper. Verona will be with 2 defenders, key absentees, Casale and Günther. They're both suspended, but I think they're better than Venezia. I think at home they've been a bit inconsistent, but I think you could trust them for this one. And the value for me in a high-scoring game, as it could be, is on the Asian handicap. Is on the Asian handicap -1 for Verona, which pays 194.
Nice. So -1 means if Verona win only by 1 goal, you get your money back. And then we have Spezia and Roma. Spezia lost 2 in a row. They have dropped down to the 15th place in the table. Meanwhile, it's also a frustrating spell for Mourinho and his team, who drew 3 consecutive games in Serie A. Yet Roma remains a favorite here, according to the bookies, but I really wouldn't trust my money on an away win at this time. I don't know.
No, I think with Roma is too much up and down. There's too much going on and off the pitch. The criticism of Mourinho to the players, the environment, the criticism to the referees. Yes, Roma's been unlucky. For him. There's been a lot going on. The truth is that Roma hasn't improved as a team and has got less points in the table than last season. They had very good spells during the season. They have good numbers, for example, in terms of big chances created, expected goals, errors leading to goals, in this case their mistakes leading to goals. So the numbers are there in terms of shots on target, in terms of corners, but they are not quite continuous in the pitch. They have got dips in form even within the 90 minutes, so it's very difficult to trust them, although the only hope is that this is just a stepping stone for next season, when Mourinho is going to get more signing and build the squad more to his likes. By the way, Mourinho will be suspended because he insulted the referee during the game with Verona, so he's not going to be on the pitch. 3 wins in the last 6 away games for Verona. They are unbeaten in the last 5 games in the league, so I don't think they're going to go to Spezia and necessarily lose, but they are not even rock solid. They conceded 6 goals in the last 5, only 2 clean sheets. From a Mourinho side, you will expect to concede less goals. Let's see if Zaniolo is going to play this one, because I think it's going to be really, really important against a compact Spezia defense. They're going to perhaps sit deep. You need a player able to take the ball. get past a couple of players. Yes, Roma away form is really mid-table. And Spezia, always been praised. This is the youngest team of Serie A, a team that has not been strengthened much. They always score. They always seems the way to find a way to score, whether they play home or away. Perhaps at at Bologna, they scored too early with Manai, and then they sat back and defend. They always looked they were going to concede a couple from Bologna. But, despite the last two wins, they have 10 points out of the last 18 games. And at home, they've been good. They only conceded 16 at home, so they're very good at keeping tight. And, 16 conceded for a small team like Spezia is good. It's mid-table, really, at home. They always score in the last 5 home games. Apart from they didn't score against Udinese and Bologna early in the league, they will be without Manai, who scored at Bologna because he's going to be suspended. So this one is difficult. It's really difficult to call. You could go for a both to score, considering that Spezia normally does nick a goal. But if you want to trust Roma, I would say go for the Asian handicap minus 0.25 in the first half, which doubles your stake. So it's a very good odds. And that means if Roma are win the first half, you double your stake. If they do not win and if they draw, you only lose half of your stake. If they are losing the first half, which I think is unlikely, you've lost completely your stake. So you got a little bit of a parachute in case Roma doesn't start the game as strongly as they should.
Normally, I think last time when Mourinho was sidelined, Roma was winning their game.
Yeah, that's true. So that could be a good omen.
That'd be good for the environment, because he's really toxic. I don't really like him. Maybe time to retire.
I don't know. I think he's a top manager, but he wants things a certain way. He wants a certain kind of players. He signed a 3-year contract with Roma, so we should give him the time.
We'll see. Yes, and then we have the biggest probably game of this match day: Lazio Napoli. Very important for both teams, since Lazio is chasing a spot in top 4, while Napoli is still in the title race with only 2 points away from the top. Both teams drop points in their last fixture, with Lazio tying to Udinese and Napoli tying to Cagliari, 1-1 in both cases.
This team both are going to be tired after the Europa League on Thursday. We are recording this video on Wednesday, so we don't know who's going to qualify, either Lazio against Porto or Napoli Barcelona, or maybe none of them, because both are very tough games for them. Let's see who's going to be more tired. Let's see who's going to make more rotation. The issues with these teams is that often their reserves or the second, let's say, the fringe players, they're not the same quality of the first 11. Lazio at home, they've been good so far this season. Top attack, 31 goals scored, only lost to Juventus so far this season, including the Coppa Italia and the Europa League. But as I said, it depends on the rotation of Sarri, and depends if Immobile is fully fit, because he has missed the game against Porto, he has missed the game against Udinese. Let's see if he plays in the Europa League against Porto at home. He had the flu, he should be playing this one. Perhaps Lazio, with a win, could even push for a top 4 finish, which will be overachieving. I think for Lazio, a team that it's starting a new era with Sarri, it's a new rebuild, a new system, playing 4-4-2. After years and years with Inzaghi playing 3-5-2 and more of a counter-attacking team, probably Sarri needed a little bit more time, a little bit more players of his likes to really leave his mark. And Napoli away, normally it's a team that you can trust. At least you can trust them not to lose. Only one away defeat so far this season to Inter, and this season they had to cope with many injuries. The last ones are again Anguissa, again injured, Lobotka, Insigne, Malquit, Di Lorenzo had to come out from the game at Cagliari. In the end, Spalletti had to play with Mario Rui, who's a left back in midfield. They looked short of options. He rested Osimhen for the first half against Cagliari, then put him on. You could see the difference. Osimhen, when he plays, I don't think we have seen yet how good Osimhen is, because he has missed so many games. But scored at Barcelona. No, didn't score at Barcelona, but had a good game at Barcelona. Scored at Cagliari. So if he's on the pitch, he's obviously a threat against a defense of Lazio that is the weakest link of the team. They scored 5 in the last 4 away games. Napoli, the problem they have sometimes that they don't kill games, especially against big teams. They score the first one and then they don't go for the killer blow. But they are still the best away defense in Serie A. Only 9 goals conceded. They kept 7 away clean sheets already. Also one in this very stadium at the Olimpico, 0-0 against Roma before. So, there are a lot of factors to be taken into consideration before putting a bet. I would say, obviously, see how the games in the Europa League goes, see the lineups, see how many changes go. But at a first glance, consider Lazio is very strong at home, but Napoli can keep it tight when they travel. I'm going to go for a draw, which pays a lot, 3.68. And because it pays a lot, I would say go for a half a unit, just bet a half a unit. So in case you lose, just half of what you normally bet. But if you win, 3.68, you triple your wins. So it's worth going for it.
Yeah, definitely. It smells like a draw to me as well, because as you mentioned, all of this information, it could be very well a draw. And then with the last game is on Monday, Atalanta and Sampdoria. Atalanta is losing the grip in Serie A and now is winless in 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Still, they're the big favorite here, but in my opinion, it's risky to bet on these low odds for a home team that is also playing in Europa League tomorrow night.
Yeah, it is difficult because, they'll come back from the Piraeus, from Greece, a tough game against Olympiacos for sure, -3 from Juventus in the league. Atalanta, they got a game in hand, of course, but it's not a great time for the Nerazzurri. They got issues up front. They're without Muriel, injured until March. They're without Zapata, out for the season. They're without Miranchuk, and had a lot of injuries across the season. And, their home form so far has been dreadful. They only won 4 home games across all competition, across the whole season. Actually, 5, make it 5 with the win in the Europa League. But still, the tally is very, very low. And as you said, they haven't won in 5 games in a row. And, the home form in the league is almost for relegation. Goal difference only +2. They conceded 7 goals in the last 4 home games and kept only 5 home clean sheet at home all season. Because probably this season, Atalanta hasn't found the right balance when they commit player forwards and they fail to track back. They get exposed. They concede goals that are really, really avoidable. The new keeper Musso is not having a great season, I must say. With this one also, problems for Atalanta. They will be without Demiral and Jim City. They're both suspended, so they're going to play for sure in the Europa League. And also probably without Palomino, who's injured. So the 3 center back are all out. Gasperini has to reinvent the defense. Maybe he'll put Verona at the back as he used to do already. And they host a Sampdoria side that has won 2 and lost 2 since Giampaolo is at the helm. They got 4 more points on the drop, so obviously they're not they cannot be safe at all. But maybe Giampaolo is slowly trying to finding his team a little bit more. He's a manager that needs a lot of time to implement his tactics, possession football, building from the back, keeping the ball, moving it quickly. So he's not just throwing it long and hoping that something happens. The defeats away, they've been just 1-0 against Spezia and Milan. Maybe in the game against Milan, Sampdoria didn't show enough courage. They only started with a striker up front. But now at the weekend, they beat Empoli 2-0. They could have conceded, but they could have scored more. A brace from Quagliarella, which is now in the 18th calendar year in a row, he has scored a goal in Serie A. So for 18 years consecutive, Quagliarella scored in Serie A, and he joins, a club, a very prestigious club, names like Mancini, Baggio, Del Piero, Totti. So Quagliarella is 39, still going strong. And by the way, he's the guy with more goals in Serie A between the active players. So, it's something that you don't have to underestimate. He's very experienced. He survived relegation many times. I think we'll see him playing much, much more. But, there are other players that with Giampaolo are starting to show signs of improvement. New signings, Sabiri, once was a former German under-21, playing behind the strikers. Caputo now playing with Quagliarella, very important, linking up the play. Sampdoria unfortunately lost Gabbiadini because of an injury, so they need to make up for the goals that he scored. 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐿 is having a great season, providing already the 8th assist for the season, but for this one, it's going to be suspended. Sampdoria away, they've done much worse at home, Sampdoria, I think, in terms of balance. They conceded many more goals at home than away. Away, they only conceded 17 goals, less than Roma and Fiorentina, for example. So I think you could put a little bit of hope that the Sampdoria are not just going to crumble at Bergamo. And for this reason, I'm going to go for a nation handicap, plus 0.5 in the first half for Sampdoria, which pays 188, which basically means if they win the first half, you win. If they draw the first half, you win. If they lose the first half, you lose the stakes. So basically, it's a double chance in the first half. And you put plus 0.25, 188. Very good.
Makes sense. Yeah, definitely very good odds. And to end the show, what is your ACCA this time?
5 games as always. So let's start with the Salernitana Bologna, both to score. Juventus at Empoli, Juve win. Verona to beat Venezia. Lazio Napoli on Sunday, both to score. And then the Monday night game, Atalanta Sampdoria, both to score. The total odds are 14-17.
Perfetto. And we still haven't seen what happens in the Champions League and Europa League, so we might have very, very successful week in terms of ACCA.
Fingers crossed.
So fingers crossed. Thank you very much, Danny. All the best. Speak soon.
Ciao, Daniel. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, we have all games from this Serie A Matchday 27 analyzed and predicted by Danny. If you enjoyed the show, please like it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to never miss another show, and make sure to stick around, because we'll be back with more great shows until the end of the week. Check out the rest of our YouTube content and follow us on all social media channels, including a podcast. See you soon.